for North America, cops are in the news because they are the story. I'm Molly Thomas in Erbil, Iraq. They were telling us about the days just after the attack. The fear levels were just so high. Bloomberg, Fox, New York Times, Politico, they all went with Clinton at least 3 points ahead. Al-Shabaab is still looking to occupy territory just 5 kilometers from that Syrian-Turkish border. That was metric. Of course, it's still electric down here. 7:02, we start with some breaking news. Breaking news at this hour. 8:19, some breaking news for you. We are watching, of course, that number on the bottom of your screen. Electoral college votes right now sitting at 136 to 104 for Donald Trump. Again, you have to get 270 to seal the deal for the next president of the United States. We're talking a little bit about our swing states, of course. Those are the ones that could go either way, and they're easy to flip-flop. So what we know right now, the ones that are leaning towards Trump: Florida, North Carolina, Georgia, Virginia, very, very close race there, but it's still leaning towards Trump a bit. Ohio as well. The swing states that are leaning towards Clinton right now: Pennsylvania and Colorado. New York is a really interesting state as well. As many people know, both Clinton and Trump have lived and worked in that state. And right now, Clinton is leading that one 75 to 21. She is racing ahead in New York. But keep in mind, I mean, the western states, remember, they are back time-wise. The western states are not even reporting yet, so we have to wait for all those big ones. California with the most electoral votes there, 55 votes to be counted. So remember, there's still a lot of time. Not only Saskatchewan, but the West is a tough political playground for the Liberals. How do you target seniors, your voters, the people that are constantly going to the polls that perhaps may be set in a conservative mindset?
Well, I think one of the things that we're seeing is people are a lot less branded to particular parties than they once were.
Let's quickly touch on that, your abortion stance. I mean, you want your MPs to all vote pro-choice. Mm-hmm. Isn't that impeding on their freedom of thought, their freedom of belief, their freedom of opinion, some of those values that your father brought into the charter? Chaos in the streets of London. 4 people are dead and more than 40 others injured. What we do know is that the attack happened near the Houses of Parliament. Witnesses say pedestrians were mowed down by a car. The attacker is one of the people killed. Large sections of central London are in lockdown. Police are treating this as a terror attack. President Trump has implemented an electronics ban for anyone flying into the U.S. from Turkey, the Middle East, or North Africa. The U.K. has also announced new flight restrictions, banning anything larger than a smartphone from carry-on luggage. This only applies to airports from 10 Muslim-majority countries. Canada is currently evaluating whether it should follow suit. And in the courts, more than 30 alleged associates of the Montreal Mafia are off the hook. Crown lawyers have suddenly walked away from charges of drugs, weapons, and kidnapping against these defendants. Some worry RCMP surveillance may have interfered with those charges. One factor in the Crown's decision to dismiss the defendants was because of the new time limits trying to fast-track cases through the justice system. And that's the news we had our eye on this week. Lorna, back to you.
No ban on stolen land! No ban on stolen land!
Lorna, as you know, this is the second protest in as many weeks right along the strip. University Avenue, of course, is a heavy police presence right at the U.S. consulate right behind me. You take a look. This is where the protesters are. People that have been here for hours already today. It's quite cold outside and they're still here.
This is Hitler time coming back. Now, before there was the Jews, now it's the Muslim. Donald Trump brought the racism, brought the hate out of everyone's heart. What happened in Quebecois yesterday not just shattered my heart into pieces, made me speechless. I slept in tears yesterday listening to the Quran because I just think that this is going to be my end too.
Wow, Molly. Understandably very emotional and new Canadian.
I learned that Nadia, originally from Iraq, when the U.S. invaded their family, actually she lost her sister in that war. The family left, they went to Jordan. Of course, as they weren't nationals, they couldn't get land.
They would have been a very young girl.
Yes, exactly.
When her sister was killed
That's
in
right.
the war.
That's right. So they fled to Jordan. You can't get land if you're not nationals. They eventually immigrated to Canada. Their extended family went to the U.S. And you can imagine the frustration when you finally make it to these lands of freedom and now you can't even see your family.
We have 17 children. It's terrible.
17 children lost their father.
Children.
Mohammed Libidi's quiet neighborhood is lined with tears. The cards in the snow tell a story no one ever wanted to hear. 6 men gunned down at their local place of worship. Another 3 are still in intensive care. This is Canada's first physical attack on people of faith.
This is a rare case. This is not a general feeling.
The attack at Quebec City's Islamic Center has many questioning the province's recent years of struggle with identity politics. You have to remember that Quebec has an interesting relationship with race and religion. Back in 2013, the Parti Québécois proposed a charter of values that would eliminate all religious symbols from public workspaces. And while that did not go through and there is a new government, you have to wonder who still supports this. The alleged shooter, 27-year-old Alexandre Bissonnette, held radicalized right-wing views. He is described by people that knew him as a racist fanatic, known to support U.S. President Donald Trump, France's National Front leader Marine Le Pen, and to have anti-Islamic views. But contempt can be contagious. Since Sunday's attack, Montreal police say there's been a spike in hate-related incidents.
Every single person I know that smokes marijuana drives under the influence of marijuana. Every single one of them.
Every one of them.
I don't know anyone who smokes pot that doesn't.
And that's going to be a criminal offense.
If impaired driving was caused by people smoking pot, we would know it. Didn't take much to know it was under the influence of alcohol was causing that accident. So it is politic.
Is it politics or is it the government being extra cautious?
It's politics, period.
Minister Norris came out quite candidly on the subject. I was listening to an interview on John Gormley. He said the Buckingham debacle was one of the worst decisions in Canadian Academy. A little harsh from, a minister that's handling the file?
Well, he was very, he wanted to be emphatic about the government's concern for what had happened there and the need to now have a path forward.
Do you want your minister speaking that candidly, I guess? It's a pretty bold statement.
I want us to get results.
Right on this side, you can see behind me the Syrian mountains. On the other side, the Turkish mountains. And there's actually a fence-like wall that you can see that divides the two areas. And of course, it's too dangerous for us to go over to Syria right now. But thanks to technology, we're able to connect with people right over that border. Steps away, Syrians are scrambling for safety.
700,000.
700,000 people that have moved
IDPs from Hama, from Idlib, from Aleppo, from all of the area to the Turkish border.
It's an informal safe zone from airstrikes. Because if you cross into Turkish airspace, well, you're in trouble. Somalia has declared a national disaster. What is supposed to be lush green farmland looks like this after 2 failed rainy seasons. People in northern Somalia are largely pastoralists, so they are nomadic and they're caring for cattle and they're constantly on the move. But take a look around me. There's no animals, there are no people, there's nothing out here. And that tells us there's no food or water anywhere in this area. Northern Somalia, it reminded me of home, of Saskatchewan. Long stretches of farmland, very similar to the prairies where I grew up. And, agriculture is king there. And so when there's no rain to grow crops, there's no food. And when you can't feed your animals, how do you feed your children?
So we're not in famine yet, but this is a desperately critical time, right?
Yes, if you think back to 2011, more than 250,000 people died during that famine. What people don't know at home, probably, is that half of those people were dead, Lorna, before famine was even mentioned. So yes, this is the pre-famine time. This is the critical time.
Our correspondent Molly Thomas is back from being in Paris. Molly, tell us about walking the streets there at a time like that.
I would describe it as somber, but at the same time lively. On the somber side, you can't miss the flowers, the tributes, the pictures that show up at these memorials in District 10 and 11. You walk by, people, even on their way to work, will just stop and take a moment. But at the same time, Lorna, it's lively. Part of French culture is to be out at cafes, it's to have a drink on a patio. People are still out and about. And I think the tough thing about talking about France is that Paris is the tourism capital of the world. And so you have, everybody's there. So it's really tough sometimes when you're out in the streets to figure out who's Parisian and who's not, who's affected and who's not. It was quite a sweeping speech, Lorna. Pope Francis addressed more than 100 heads of state in just under 45 minutes. And he had a lot to say to the international community, but at the heart of every single issue that he touched on was this cry for social justice.
I just want to weep for this man who was just trying to support his family.
It's not what you'd expect from a place like this. There are dark stories spilling out of wine country. They're talking about workers that are falling through the cracks of our healthcare system. And we're asking, who's responsible?
So you're performing tonight, big performance coming up?
I am. I'm really excited about it, actually.
Any hints for us? Because we know your big song, Call Me Maybe, but is it going to be in rendition or something different?
I will say that style-wise, I was kind of inspired by, like, Cyndi Lauper.
I'm here with Tatiana Maslany, of course, the star of Orphan Black, right? Yeah. Hometown is Regina.
Yeah, that's right.
You're away from Regina a lot of the time. How do you stay connected?
Facebook, Skype. Skype is amazing.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it really is.
I have to ask though, I mean, you're saying you were at the stadium, that's where a lot of the international leaders came to remember the 20 years of the genocide. I mean, as a Rwandan, is it also frustrating to see that people are there now, but they weren't there before? Well, deadly violence broke out between rival militias vying for control of Libya's main airport. This was a scene not far from Tripoli's international airport. Now, today's fighting has killed 6 people and injured dozens more. All flights have been canceled in that area. Libyan authorities have struggled to bring stability to the country since dictator Muammar Gaddafi was toppled 3 years ago. 6:12, let's go over to BNN. Patty Levitt-Reid standing by. Patty, everyone in Saskatchewan that is hoping to buy a home this year waiting on this interest rate decision today. We look around this camp, I mean, people have set up shops, they've set up businesses.
We hope and pray that the conflict will be over in Syria.
When many people think refugees, they assume that these people are living in refugee camps. But here in Jordan, the majority of Syrian refugees are actually living in host communities like here in Zarqa. Now, the problem with this is that services can be scarce and scattered. The UN says that 2/3 of Syrians living like this are actually in poverty. You might call the Lady Cougars a dynasty, the kind of team that makes you cringe when you see them on the schedule. A force to be reckoned with in the late 90s. Since 2001 alone, 9 trips to the national championships. That win stems from years of tradition, women that trailblazed the way back in the 70s. Everything looks different, and they got the long socks.
Long socks, long sleeves.
What the heck are these? I don't know if this is for a child.
No, they're for practice shorts.
A little nickname for you here, Cash Money. Uh-oh. Have you heard that one before? Cashmere.
Did you guys call each other to match this morning?
This just keeps happening, and I don't understand.
How do you look exactly the same? What are the honestly, we need to know.
Warm temperatures, I'm talking 30s. I'll have all those details coming up.
Beach weather.
Oh yeah, get out the Speedo. Woo!
Never the Speedo, Carrie. Never the Speedo. 7:10 this morning. Let's check in with our business dude over at BNN. Michael, of course, called me Dudette in our last hit. So, hey, dude, what's going on?
Well, what I'm looking at, very good. I like you.
You know, some guys just have that thing. I think Robin Thicke has that thing. I don't know. Let's not talk about it anymore.
Okay, then.
Let's go to break. Stay with us.
Back in a second.